All right. Welcome everyone to another marketing. Actually, is this the last
Last
marketing?
one,
Wow, the last marketing
last
momentum
2017.
Charles and Deborah of 2017. I
That's
can't
right.
believe it's 2018.
It is. It's moving. It moved fast this year.
Do you ever stop and think like how many how many years ago did I graduate from high school? And it's like, never mind. I
I
don't
try
have,
not to. Yes.
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, did I miss one of those decade ones or or two or three or four,
Right. Yeah.
whatever. It's like yeah, it's when the kids start saying, what was that? When did that happen? Or, who's Richard Nixon or no, something like that. Like, go look it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the topic is how to move into like 2018 with positive thinking, which I suppose applies, whether it's 2019, 2017, 1962. Did I get that right for Richard? No, Richard Nixon. I don't have Wikipedia in front of me, but positive thinking. But I think we've touched on this, Charles, but I'm wondering, do you think we need like more effort in the positive thinking? I don't mean we, you and me. I mean,
hmm
do you think there's more obstacles as far as moving into 2018 than let's say 2017?
Yeah. I think where there's always news, but I think that for the first time we get it, and we've talked about the 24-hour news cycle, but now it's the 60-second news cycle, right? It's like every second of the day, you want to take something in. You don't even have to work for it. You can turn on you can get into Facebook, you can turn on that with the web, and it's almost like at this point you really do have to have a filter.
I can't believe that we actually used to, it's like, oh, it's a 6 o'clock news. It's a 10 o'clock news. It's okay. I'm really dating us on that one, but it's like, yeah, you're right. Now it's not even the news. It's the feed, the Facebook feed, the Yahoo, or I walk by Mike and it's like, oh, he's reading Yahoo News. Okay. That's, it's like, what's going on, honey? Or yeah, instead of me reading it, what's the five top stories?
Yeah, and it looks like now what I've heard, and this is primarily from people who are really into politics, right? That people are sort of really choosing their their news sources that kind of agrees with them. And I used to kind of feel like, well, that's not necessarily all that good, but I think there's so much information, and we're still not quite sure what it means to process all that. I mean, no, you're studying a lot of that, right, as a
Mm-hmm.
psychologist, but um, I'm not sure we know what it means to have that much information available coming to you all the time from that many different sources. And now, even the more official news sources, you have the individuals in those sources now almost becoming news outlets in and of themselves. And then everyone else that right? Everyone else you and I deal with, we're almost needing to become our own news source. And so there's all this information. And so now, people, I think, to kind of get a handle on being positive, it's like you really do have to have developed like some serious, like, this is sort of where I'm going to take it in. This is how I'm going to take it in.
And redefining, not only do we have the 60-second news, but the 60-second redefining. I was just thinking, oh man, this could go off in several different directions. My daughter was mentioning net neutrality. Okay, so that's another topic. Not going to go
Right.
there right now. But I mean, what was it? I was watching. Maybe I mentioned this in one of the other marketing momentums. I've been like binge watching the what is that? Heartland. The horses into it. I don't know anything about horses, but it's a fun show to watch. A little family drama. I'm not into soap operas, but that one's got some some
Right. Yeah.
soap opera in there. But even that one, they're talking about. I think I might have mentioned this in the last marketing momentum. But the blogger, it's like, oh no, here's a blogger coming to visit, and I'm like, we're watching Netflix, and they're mentioning the importance of the blogger, as in, this is news. This is somebody that's going to report on something that's happening. I'm thinking, this is really a different world from 5 years ago.
Yeah. And again, I mean, we just don't know what any of that means. And we've had this discussion before. We talk to our kids. They talk about the microwave and they talk about all the stuff that, as if it's always been here. But for for certain parts of the population, all this really happened in one lifetime, from cassette all the way now to MP3s, and who knows what's coming next. And so, there's so many channels to get, into the brain, and all that stuff. I mean, it all affects your mood, right? It all affects how you're going to process the day. I mean, all the experts say, right, you're not supposed to read your email first thing in the morning, but then sometimes you have to read your email first thing in the morning. Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I heard that. Yes. But I mean, sometimes you have to. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but how many emails do you have in your box? Probably something like
25,000.
Right? And it used to be, right? Remember, there used to be a thing where, and I always marvel at people when I read things, and I guess this is more for people who are employed. They have a specific place where they've got to be, and they talk about cleaning out their inbox. There's no hope for me ever to clean out my inbox. Like it's not gonna happen ever. Right?
I don't know if there's a tip for January, all the cleaning, the whole thing. I started doing something. I probably did it like 3 years ago. I've never really succeeded, so I don't know if I should give this tip because I don't know if it's an effective tip. But I started to do like I do 1,000 emails. I just kind of randomly, like maybe I'd sort them or by last name of the sender, whatever date, and I put 1,000 in like folder 1. Then I'd put 1,000 in folder 2. Then with the idea that I have 30 folders. So
right, yeah,
whether
exactly.
that's it's like, all right, each day I'm going to go through 1,000. Do you think that never really happened? Because I was getting another 10,000 that day, So there's still in there. I'll search for something. It's like, that's in folder 36. Wait a minute. There's not 36 days in a month,
I'm convinced that Outlook rules is an absolute tyrant, because you just start feeling like, okay, well, I'm gonna set up this rule, and then all the emails from this person that is going to go into this folder. Then I'm going to read it at one particular time, and then it starts to grow in number, and then you just look at it like, that's too many. I'm not reading all of those.
I've gotten there. I finally started deleting, like, oh wait, I read that, or I might have some for receipts, but it's like, do I really need this one where you click because you've actually subscribed? Am I going to go back later and check that I actually subscribed to that list, or can I just hit delete after I've subscribed? How much do you need to keep?
Yeah. So I mean, I have been really thinking about like sort of how I'm going to process information. It's very interesting you brought this up, and I think I've even said on the show before that I'm going to read the Wall Street Journal, right? And it's not because it makes me look cool or sound cool, but it's because I've just chosen that one because it has, I guess a cross-section of information that I want to read about, and I understand the biases. And I guess the longer that I read one thing, the more I'm going to understand the biases.
Good point.
It's kind of hard. So I could read a lot more. I could broaden out the number of sources, but I mean, the fact of the matter is I don't have time. And then I don't really even understand the biases of the particular writers. And so it's almost like, and I guess you could kind of do this with different writers across different publications. I guess a person could do it that way, where they sort of understand, okay, well, I know where this person's coming from, and I can kind of chew on the meat and spit out the bones based on where I know they're coming from. And I think that's sort of what, we all have to kind of do in order to maintain, how we feel about it, right? Because it is all this stuff, man, affects our mood.
Well, and then you have, when you're talking about like following, for instance, a particular author across different publications, then you got to watch, because I know when I write for different publications, it's not that I'm changing. I'm very into like being authentic myself,
right?
But there is, I don't know if I want to say a slant. I think we've talked about this before, where it's like there's a, maybe this one's more personalized, and this one's, it's not that I'm changing, but the way I'm presenting it is different depending on, the publication. There's one that wants,
the publication wants, right? Yeah.
Less, they want like 600 words, which is really foreign to me. I don't know if, some of the groups that we belong to, Charles, where it's like the long form, you want 2,000 words.
Right.
And then for this one really popular, and I don't want to name them out in case this is not a good thing to say. It's not bad, good, whatever, but we're not out there to do bias. But it's like 600 words. Seriously? I would have thought that you wanted 2,000 words, So different biases. But Charles, I do have kind of, as we're winding, I'm thinking this whole positive thing, and it did come to mind. I went to IKEA last night. Not that that has anything to do with price in China, but I thought of this because watching people, I don't know if, I think we mentioned this before. I used to like to go to airports and watch people. I don't know if that's something other people like to do, but I didn't know if this is a cultural thing, if this is a generational thing, if this is a, 2017 going into 2018 thing, but it was something that Mike and I, well, it's kind of a drive. So we're like, Mike and I, my hubby, if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, we love to analyze. There were a lot of, for lack of any other, like, I was gonna say dirty looks. No, not between Mike and I, but like crabby people. I don't know how else to say that. I'm trying to be politically correct and say that nicely, but I mean, there's that shopper, that the thing after Christmas, the Boxing Day, trying to get the deals and stuff, but it just was different this year. It's like people were in a worse mood yet. I didn't know if that was possible.
Yeah, we call it perpetual outrage, right? That's what we call it. So, Laurel and I, because, and we're typically talking about, social media, right? Because, I mean, that is an occupational hazard. We just use that phrase. That's not, so
I like that,
you sort
though.
of have to be there.
Wait, I don't like it. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's just, I mean, somebody's mad about something all the time. And so, or even not even always mad, but just discontent. And so again, you sort of log in, and I think we sort of think we're looking at things neutrally. We're still used to thinking that we can pick up something as an individual. It's not really affecting us. We can decide. I don't know that to be the case. And there's probably some evidence someplace, and I don't know whether you studied it or not, but there's probably some evidence that, you get a like on your page. There's a shot of dopamine, whatever it is, right? There's something chemical going on with all of this stuff. And so it all affects your mood. And so I don't know, man, I think without really having fully defined what it means for me, I'm really sure that I'm going to decide on some filters, and I'm just going to stick to them, because otherwise it's more than information overload. It's like it's like an overload on your mood. So if it was just taking in information, like you could just get overwhelmed, you could kind of deal with that. But then it's also all this other sort of emotional stuff that comes with it.
Well, and I think it's affecting, this is where I wondered if it's generational. And this could definitely branch off into a whole nother psychology, like child psychology, which is not my area, is business psychology. But last night, it's like I'm watching these kids. Okay, I'm probably being a little bit biased because I'm thinking my mother would have slapped my hand if I'd sat and played with things. Like, you don't touch unless we're going to buy it or whatever. But I mean, this kid is like doing baton thing. And I'm not trying to judge the kid, but I'm looking at going, now, how come he gets to play with this stuff? At 5, I never would have gotten away with that. Or this other little girl was really cute. And this isn't like anti-kids. It's kind of this, did we get away with that before? Is this something that's changing? Are people just tired? And again, I'm not trying to take this into a 40-minute discussion on child psychology, but this cute little girl sitting there, and it's not that she was doing anything wrong. She just kept, it's like she was trying to get her mother's attention, kind of in a sweet way, but after 5 minutes of making the same noise over and over, and the mother is 2 inches away, completely ignoring her. And I'm thinking, is this kind of, and maybe this is something that's, for another marketing momentum, as far as, are the personal aspects, are, the economics, is it affecting us to a point where it's filtering into other areas, whether we're freelancing and we're taking a trip over to IKEA because we need some office furniture so that we can go make money so that we can pay the utility bill that we can't afford in the first place. And, it's like, I don't know. I think I opened up a bigger can of worms than I intended on that one, but it just seems different than it did a year ago. And
I think we are continually becoming less and less of a 9 to 5 society. And I think, a schedule and a society that sort of revolves around, everybody's sort of going to dinner around the same time, everybody getting off at lunch at the same time, everybody's sort of going to work at the same time. When now, I mean, you really don't know, right? You could be calling somebody, or you could be walking, I'm gonna go visit Sally. It's 40 afternoon. You think, well, and then you see Sally coming out in her pajamas. You're thinking, what are you doing? You've been in bed all day. But it could just very well be You don't know what her schedule is, right? You don't know what the schedule is. You have no idea what's going on. That kids could be home. I mean, you know, and I think all of this stuff has really we have not yet processed what any of this means, right? And I think we're really trying to put it in boxes. But you and I, you were talking about this a minute ago. We have these boxes that we grew up with, and we're still trying to process them in those traditional boxes. So my first reaction to the guy, let's say it's a guy comes into pajamas, it's 8 in the morning, like, what's he doing? What's he doing? Don't you have a job? Don't you have a job?
Or the little kid that wets his pants at Walmart because they don't want to get out of line to miss the Boxing Day special or the Black Friday. Remember that story? That was a while ago. My friend told that story. I'm like, are you serious? You didn't take your kid to the Walmart bathroom? You just let them defecate, right? And so we didn't miss our spot in line. Like that is it's like, all right, there's some cultural differences here. But
yeah, no.
If we had to wrap it up for 2018, poor us, we haven't even reached 2018 yet. But could we sum it up this way to say, ultimately, it's our own personal responsibility, our family responsibility, you know, however you want to look at it, our own attitude. So if we're going to be positive, take that upon ourselves to be positive, or don't be positive, be grouchy. I was going to say grouchy old man, but that's not against you, Charles. I could try to be a grouchy old man, maybe. No?
Yeah, just stay around grouchy people.
Exactly. So maybe we'll leave it at that. Go have a happy holiday, a happy new year. And if you want to be positive, be positive. If you don't.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Just don't kill anyone or anything like that. There we go. Oh, well, thank you, Charles. And thanks, everyone. I can't believe I'm saying this, that it's over, but, well, no,
right.
Excuse me. Marketing Momentum is not over. 2017 is over, and it's been a wonderful year. And thank you for joining us for Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah in the year 2017.
Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.